Hello everyone, Ben here and welcome back to iRacing for round 5 of our USF 2000 Championship, this week from Oran Park South. This circuit, I think, is one of the most challenging on the calendar. Undulating, lots of off-camber corners, low grip. Let's see how we got on in qualifying. So we're coming around then to start the lap. Remember, this is the south variant of the circuit, not the full circuit. So as we bomb down the start-finish straight, we're actually going to be taking a left-hander much sooner than you otherwise would. Get the braking done just before the barrier turns green on the right-hand side. Be patient, don't get on the throttle too early through that long left-hander, and then we're into this swooping, undulating section of track. On cold tyres here in qualifying, you've just got to be ever so delicate and try and slide the car through the corners, run it out wide, maximise the width of the track to carry more speed and give yourself a better turning angle into these corners. Get the braking right in the uphill section, down into second gear, car rotated, and then back onto the start-finish straight, and just like that, that is a full lap of what is a very short and intense Oran Park South. And in the end, it was a really good lap. We're in the bottom split here, so this time of 39.9 isn't going to pull up any trees in the higher splits, but we're on pole position on a stacked grid of 18 cars. Before we get going, which we're about to, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the episodes we've got coming up in this series. But for now, let's get to the grid. The safety car's peeled in then, and we are underway. It was our first time leading away then in one of these races. We've got a fantastic chance to win this race, but this first corner is going to be crucial. I want to hug to the inside, not drift out wide, because I know I've got cars around me, and we just about get through in one piece. It would have been the easiest point of this race to make a mistake or be caught up in somebody else's accident if they're just too optimistic going into that first corner on cold tyres and cold brakes. But we've gotten through, and by the looks of things, Christopher Brown, who started in second place, has maintained his position as well and is just half a second back as we round the final corner of the lap for the first time. Even more so than the Grand Prix layout here at Oran Park, it's hugely difficult to overtake around this layout. There are essentially no braking zones to speak of. Of course, you've got to get on the brakes from time to time, but you're really only down into second gear for that opening corner, and it's not easy to get alongside there. The rest of the lap, you're shifting down to third gear at most and just sliding the car through. The final corner is probably the best opportunity in that you can probably do one of two lines through the corner, and if you're alongside coming down into that left-hander, then you might be able to sort of squeeze past on the inside. But every move here carries quite a big bit of risk. Let's have a little look back at that opening lap then. You can see we led away well from the safety car. Cars already running wide. That's what I wanted to avoid above anything else. That's why I hugged the inside, because I didn't want to find myself sliding towards the outside and getting tyres on the grass. If you do that on this circuit, then it's game over. Another car in the foreground there having a bit of a moment and ending up spinning the car. But as we come around to end what is a very short lap, you can see we've already, together with Brown behind us, got a little bit of a gap back to third place. And for the two of us, really, it's been a very good start. We've managed to avoid any of the potential carnage that could have ensued behind us. We rejoin then about a third of the way into this race. Both us, myself and Brown, we've managed to break away from Spears in third place. If you look at the relative board in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, we've dropped third place by about 6 seconds. And so far, we've been running pretty smoothly. Brown has been around half a second to a second behind us. We've got similar pace, but you can see up ahead now as we round the final corner, we're catching up with back markers. And this is going to be the big challenge of this race now. Leading the race, this is my first time leading the race in this manner for such a long period of time, but because there are so many incidents through this field and it's a short lap with a lot of cars on track, we're going to have to get through traffic. And this starts now. We've got 10 minutes left of this race, and we've already caught up with our first back marker. So we're coming up behind Bolton here, who is coming into the final corner himself. We're closing right in as we come towards the apex of the corner, and I'm hoping that he's going to get out the way, and he does. So that's really crucial. If these drivers respect blue flags, if they understand the kind of racing etiquette and what I'm going to be looking for as the leader coming through, which ultimately is a safe place to pass without needing to get off the accelerator, then at least too much anyway, then we'll be in business. If not, if some of them decide to race us, or if they get their movements wrong, then we could be in for a very challenging time. We're coming up behind Van Wormer here, then at the end of the lap. He's ran wide though, and it looks like he's up on the grass. We're going to take a chance and go past, and there's a big accident in our rear view mirror. My goodness, that's exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about. That could have been the end of our race. I'm going to need to have a little look at the replay again to see just how close we came. I took a bit of a gamble there in running past him as I saw him up on the grass. I maybe could have or should have got on the brakes, but the other thing that's in my mind through this stage of the race is I've got Brown behind me who's less than a second adrift, so I can't afford to lose too much time. And just as I'm talking, we've got another car having a difficulty. Peyton up ahead. We're going to have to pass him at the crest of the hill, which I really don't want to do, but at least he hugged to the inside apex. Another yellow flag then out as well, as somebody's had trouble coming around that final corner, but thankfully we didn't see them appear on track. Let's take a little look back then. This is as we've already passed our first back marker. You can see how close all the cars are running. We're second from the front of this queue, and we're going to come then up the uphill section. The car ahead, Van Wormer, is going to get wide, and then look at how close we come. I think he notices us around the left hand side and seeks to turn right to get out of our way, and that pitches him into the wall. My days, he could have clipped us so easily there, and he ends up collecting the car behind him. This is the view then from Brown's car. Look at how close we come. He's able to get through, and he very nearly loses it himself, surprised by what he's just seen up ahead. This is Peyton then, who had the little moment out wide. He does hold the brakes, which allows him to keep control of the car, but it slows him down at the crest of this hill. We're able to come around the outside and get past him pretty safely. Again, this is the view from Brown. You can see the puff of tyre smoke up ahead, as now he's coming over the crest of the hill himself. He's not going to be as lucky as us. He can't get past him into this final corner, but he's going to try and make the move past. And in fairness, Peyton gets out of the gas and Brown can get past on the straight. We rejoin then on the very next lap, and we've already caught up to Pendergast. So there really is no let up here. This is a very intense race considering how far out front both Brown and myself are. So we're coming again up the crest, down the hill, into the final corner. We're closing in on him very, very quickly here. I'm hopeful that again he's just going to let us go on the straight. It doesn't make sense for these guys to race us. We know we've got the pace, and yes, look at that, he gets off the throttle. We have to come off the racing line, but that's fair enough. He gives us plenty of time into the first corner to get back on the racing line, and we're able to go through. And just looking in the rearview mirror, it looks as if Brown has got past as well. So we're over the half race distance point here. In the cockpit, I haven't really had a chance to reflect at all on the fact that this is going to be our first race win if we can hold it together. I've been under constant pressure from behind. This circuit punishes you if you lose concentration. It punishes you big time. So I can't really afford to take my mind off what's going on up ahead of us, as I see a puff of smoke from the three cars that are racing each other and that we are going to be on the back of very, very soon. So I've just got to keep myself calm and keep focused on what we're doing. And of course I can't allow any distractions because Brown is right on our tail. I just don't have that comfort. I've no idea how we're going to negotiate the traffic up ahead because these three guys are racing each other. It's one thing coming up against a couple of cars racing each other as they're side by side into the final corner, but when there's three of them, the chances that they won't see us coming or they will prioritise their own race over ours are very, very high indeed. So we're going to come into the braking zone once again then. They're running very, very close to one another into this left-hander. We're not going to be close enough to get past this time around, but I think we are going to be closing in on Lindemann before the end of this lap, because of course as they're scrapping with each other, they're running even more slowly than they might otherwise. So we're going to take a nice wide entry into the uphill right-left and then get ready to close in on the rear wing of Lindemann. I think he is easing off. He must have had the blue flag messages by now several times, but we're not going to get past him on the straight. He hasn't got off the gas to that extent. Is he going to let us pass through into the first corner? Well, he's pretty slow on brakes into there. He's going to try and duck to the inside to get down the inside of the Red Bull car. That's going to give us a little chance around the outside. I don't know whether that was deliberate or not, but certainly when the move was happening, Lindemann got out of the throttle and allowed us past. So I'm grateful to him for that, at least. And now Correa is the next car up on the track for us to try and get past, but he is engaged in a big battle with Holstein up ahead. He's nearly side by side the man in 6th place on track, but he thinks better of making a move down into the first corner, and he's got right off the gas here. He's going to let us past. He's going to let us pass down the inside. That's good news for us. It means that we can get through the second of these 3 cars, and it looks like, according to the relative board, that Brown is through as well. And in fact, not only is he through, but he's only half a second behind us. So these are crucial moves. It would be the easiest thing in the world for me to lose 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, trying to get past these guys, and all of a sudden Brown will be alongside us, and if he gets past, then we'll have a real fight on our hands to get back past him, because our pace is pretty similar on track. We're coming then up against Holstein, down into T1 again. He hasn't got off the gas. He's going to try and hold it through this lap, but he's ran wide, so we're going to duck down the inside. And then in my rear view mirror, it looked as if he got it all wrong and span across the track. And if you look at the relative board, Brown has dropped back. I think there was contact, pretty big contact, and it looks like the man in 2nd place, Christopher Brown, who's ran such a good race so far, might have been a big victim of that. We'll have a look at it on replay shortly. This then is that entire section of passes on those back markers. You can see us getting around the outside then of the first of those cars coming out of T1. We're then going to close in on the back of the Red Bull liveried car and Holstein up ahead over the course of the next lap or so. And you can just see, I really love these aerial shots for this race, because you can just see the challenge in trying to get past these guys while also holding off Brown behind us. You have to really try and pick your moments. Very grateful there to the car up ahead for getting out of our way, and I think he gets out of Brown's way pretty well as well. Yes, he does. It would have been better on the straights, but at least he's given us plenty of room into T1. So now it just remains to get past the guy in 6th place up ahead, where you can visibly see how close Brown is to us now. So we've lost a big chunk of time getting past those first 2 cars, and because we're hitting this traffic first, it will always be a bit more challenging for us, I think, because at the end of the day we don't quite know when they're going to get off the racing line or off the gas, but once they do, Brown is able to follow through behind us because he's running so close. But here's the disadvantage of that. Holstein runs wide, we get through, but then look at that, he must get on the gas and just light up his rear tyres that will have just been on the dust, and he spears across the track and he collects Brown behind him. Here we go, here's the onboard with Holstein. He does just skew across the track and Brown has nowhere to go. Here's the onboard from his view. He's going to try and follow us through, and the last thing he will expect is to see Holstein dart across the track in that manner. One final overhead view of it then, and that is a really big shame. And that essentially was the end of the race for first place. At that point we had about a 13-second gap back to Spears, and so as we round the final corner here to start our final lap, the previous few minutes of the race post Brown's accident were just all about keeping control and calm and driving to a far reduced pace really than we're capable of, because I had that cushion back, and having seen what happened to Brown out on track, I did not want to take any risks. It was all about bringing the car home. I had mixed emotions at this point, because obviously I was relieved that the pressure behind us had been eased, but at the same time I was a little bit disappointed that we were robbed of the spectacle of a race to the finish line. But we're coming across the start-finish line then in a matter of moments to take our first win in the USF 2000 Championship and indeed on iRacing that we've had since getting out of the rookie class, and I'm really pleased with that. Here then are the full classified results. You can see our confirmation there in first place, 57 championship points. Brown, if it's any consolation, took the fastest lap of the race, and just a big hats off to him for following us so closely for so long, but not doing anything silly, and really unfortunate that he ended up getting caught in somebody else's accident. But all of this means that we've had a big bump to our championship position. We are now, at this stage of the week, at the time of recording, in first place of over 500 drivers who've taken part in Division 5 in the USF 2000 Championship. So, really pleased with that as well. A really intense race here today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the races we've got coming up, and I will see you next time.